Hi and welcome to the September 1995 episode of Spotlight on UNBC as Canada's newest university begins its second full year of operations. My name is Rob Van Addercombe. September is synonymous with going back to school, and we'll have a report on that this month. Also coming up, we'll report on the UNBC housing situation and hear from 3 UNBC presidents. Those stories and many more are coming up on this, the September 1995 episode of Spotlight on UNBC.
Men and women from throughout this region believed in the idea of a university of the North. They worked hard and they succeeded.
I can easily predict that these will be seen as the golden years of this university.
You and I have been involved in a process that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
You can value education and go elsewhere and get the same information. But if you value what you get out of it as a person and your input into it, then UNBC is an awesome experience.
I take pride in opening the university, and I wish you all, in whatever capacity you serve the cause of learning, a bright and successful future.
Thousands of students from kindergarten to university dread the arrival of September every year. For them, it means ending a summer holiday and hitting the books once again. Students now attending university are having to make a big transition. For many new UNBC students, attending UNBC is more than just going to a brand new school. It may mean a total lifestyle change, complete with new academic, social, and financial responsibilities.
Coming out of high school, one of the main differences is workload. A survey of 200,000 freshmen in the United States showed that the average freshman does, on average, about 6 hours of homework a week in grade 12. And when they come to university, they're sometimes asked to do 6 hours a day. And so you can imagine having your workload increased by 5-6 times. It can be a real shock to the system. People coming from the workforce often, or any place, have trouble with time management, definitely. Because if you only have 9 hours of classes or 9 hours of work a week, what do you do with the rest of the time? It's really hard to organize if you've had a very regimented job or a regimented high school. If you read the official statement in the calendar, the very first paragraph, it emphasizes that UNBC has a special responsibility to students. And consequently, we do several things to help them. We have the Learning Skills Center, which helps them with study skills. We have counseling and generally student services as a whole.
From my own experience, I can remember you have stressful exams and papers and all that, spending a lot of time with your head in the books and in the library, and you need that time away. I mean, they've got research done that shows that after so many hours of studying, you should take a 15-hour break, get away from it, then go back. You'll be able to study that much better. And that's what we're all about here in the Fitness Center.
Many students will use the Fitness Center as a way to escape the books and meet new people. It's a new facility which wasn't open a year ago.
Well, we opened late in January last year, and there was an immediate impact on the student body. Out of the approximately 1,200 students, more than 70% of them were using the facility, and we actually kept record on that. We had them fill out their memberships and that, so we knew what percentage we're using it and how important it is to the students here. We're going to try and put a real, we are putting a real strong presentation within the university to the students so that they know that we're here, what we're all about, and the benefits that they can get from us.
September is the most important month of a student's career in higher education. And the first year is the most important year. A study at the University of Minnesota showed that if a student hadn't made a significant contact with someone at the university in the first 3 weeks, chances were 50-50 the student wouldn't be back the following year. So they have to make a contact with somebody connected with the institution, like faculty member, staff member, residence assistant, or something like that, so they feel connected with the institution. It's crucial, because half the students come in with a wait-and-see idea whether this will be any good or not.
That basically explains why universities have orientation events during the first few weeks of classes. The first month in the first year is the most important for students to make contacts and get to know their school and the community.
One thing I noticed from the first day I was up here at UNBC last year was that the community is behind this new university 100%. They'll go out of their way. And what's important is having the community out there supporting their students, making them feel welcome. It's a very good relationship, and that's an important issue as far as retention. If you make a student feel welcome when they're going to buy their groceries, when they're going out to have some fun in the downtown core or whatnot, they're going to stay in Prince George, and they're going to continue to purchase goods and services within the community, which is good for the economy, and it's also good for the university as well.
Ray Zukanovic is a good example. He came to UNBC as a new student last year and is now back helping to organize the September student orientation activities.
We'll start off with first day of classes, Friday, September 8th, university-wide barbecue. Okay, we're going to have a barbecue in the Agora area, directly to my left here. Free for all students, a wonderful opportunity. We're also going to have musicians, artists, and some fun games throughout the barbecue to make it enjoyable. Afterwards, we're going to be having a comedian fly out from Vancouver. It's going to be a comedy night, so that should be a lot of fun here. The following day, the Saturday, we're going to have city orientation bus tours. That's sponsored by Greyhound Bus Lines of Canada. They'll be taking students from the campus throughout Prince George to get to know the community. We have the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship in association with Carrier Aviation sponsoring the UNBC helicopter rides. That'll be out in the parking lot, and it'll give students an opportunity to fly over the campus and over the community. So that's going to be a really fun event. We have karaoke evening. We have various theme days. We're going to have sports groups from the community and the campus come up, have sign-up tables. We're going to be having arts, multicultural, special interest days. We'll be having political groups coming up. We're going to have Student Society Day, which will be on Friday the 15th of September. And that'll sort of be the kickoff for the band showcase that the Student Society will be featuring. Junk House and some other bands as well. If it's just 100% academic, having the workshops, the seminars, the open house, they lose interest very quickly. I would perhaps say 1 or 2 days. When you add that component of social activities where we can facilitate students to meet new friends, make themselves feel welcome here, that's really the bond that will solidify orientation and the success of orientation.
For many students, housing is a major issue. After all, many would be unable to pursue their education at UNBC if they were unable to acquire accommodation. 550 students are living on campus this year, double the number from last year. There's a brand new student residence on campus, but there's still a big demand for housing.
We didn't experience any of the difficulties that we experienced last year. The furniture was in the building on time. The building was completed on time. And that was even working within the constraints that we had to work with this year, and that was a lot of rain. But the building is complete. It was ready for the students to move in. Students didn't experience any of the difficulties that they experienced last year, and hopefully are going to have much better experience in living in residence.
Students have a much better chance of securing accommodation at UNBC than at the other BC universities. UBC has the biggest on-campus housing program in the country, and 15% of its students can live on campus. Thanks to the construction of athlete accommodation for the Commonwealth Games, UVic can house 12% of its students on campus. Simon Fraser is the lowest of all 4 BC universities at 6%. And UNBC tops the list with a residence complex able to accommodate 25% of the student body.
We're better off than a lot of institutions. I think if you look at the number of on-campus housing spots that we have available, we have 25% of the population living on campus, 75% of the population still lives off campus, so there's definite need for an off-campus housing registry. We've been very lucky. I think the community has been very favorable in their response. We've got a tremendous number of people that are going to accept students in their own homes, which takes a lot of the burden off. I think we're still in need of housing, apartment housing for families, single parents, and low-cost housing. I think that's an important area for those people that are coming with families.
In fact, while the overall vacancy rate in Prince George sits at 2.1%, the vacancy rate for two-bedroom apartments is a low 0.5%.
It's frustrating for me, but it's not even near as frustrating for me as it is for the students that are actually trying to secure accommodation, apartment accommodation. If you can't secure housing, you can't attend university. And for students who haven't secured housing probably a week before classes start, they won't come to university. They won't be able to make the move here. That's always been the case, I think, for all institutions. Housing is of utmost importance for all students.
Yeah, and especially for UNBC.
Especially for UNBC, yes.
Yeah. Just as construction of the new residence was winding down, activity was just beginning on a brand new daycare center for the Prince George campus. The new complex will have room for about 60 kids and will be opening in January 1996. Adolescence is a unique time in a person's life, often made worse by the fact mothers and their teenage kids have a hard time communicating with each other. UNBC Psychology professor Sherry Beaumont has launched part 2 of a research project examining the differences in the conversation styles between teenagers and their parents.
First of all, it's going to show us that differences between, or problems that parents and adolescents have communicating is not because of personality clashes or negative attitudes and that kind of thing. It's something to do with the mechanics of the conversation. It's just not flowing properly. And in effect, if the person is aware of that, they can modify how they're talking, and that might help things turn out better the next time. Or even if you can't, it is really hard to change the way you talk. At least after the interaction is over, you can say, oh, I guess I misinterpreted what you said because you interrupted me or whatever. You know, so it's kind of a way to explain it so that the feelings aren't as negative. The scientific community, practitioners, parents, teachers, no one has information about this yet. This is something that's new. We don't have a lot of information about problems, potential problems in communication between mothers and their children. We have information based on what parents say happens and what adolescents say happens, but we don't have a lot of information about what actually happens. So the way my research looks at it is actually taping the conversations. So it's going to tell you a lot more than just asking someone what they do. So that's the biggest thing, is we don't have a lot of this information. We need people to tell us, show us what's happening.
Collaboration is the key to a new agreement between UNBC and the Northern Colleges, designed to help college students make an easy transition between the college's business diploma programs and UNBC's bachelor's degree program in business administration.
We'll help UNBC in recruiting students. We're getting hundreds of business students inquiring about our programs at UNBC simply because we have this transfer arrangement now. So I hope that it is beneficial for both parties, UNBC, the colleges, and also for the students. And in fact, I think it is.
UNBC faculty marked the start of the 1995-96 academic year with a brand new 3-year contract agreement in hand. The first agreement for the academic staff was ratified in July and included no across-the-board cost of living wage increase. The UNBC Faculty Association represents about 150 faculty and librarians.
There were
perhaps 2 or 3 difficulties that we had to face. One of scope was probably the biggest. There was nothing. We had to, in essence, invent the agreement. And probably almost as serious a difficulty that we were facing was that we wanted to design an agreement that was, in some sense, a progressive agreement that went beyond the kinds of agreements that you see at the other Canadian universities. And those universities have been in existence for many, many years in most cases. And we wanted to maybe avoid some of the mistakes that had been made in developing agreements in these institutions. And I think to a large extent we did that, but it cost us many, many hours of negotiation, lots of behind-the-scenes work and so on.
The Prince George campus played host to an impressive performance of Jesus Christ Superstar over the summer. Staged in the Agora courtyard, 85 local people were involved in the production, which drew about 3,800 spectators during its 4-day run. The event was touted as a curtain raiser for an annual August festival on the campus. Watch Spotlight on UNBC for announcements of future performances. The UNBC Development Office hosted a party in July for the many donors who have helped to make the North to the Future Scholarship Anniversary campaign a big success. To date, more than $7.5 million has been raised, and the contributions are funding nearly 100 privately funded scholarships and bursaries in this academic year.
In the beginning, we looked to the corporate community for substantial startup contributions to our fundraising program for scholarships. We wanted to prove to the world, as I think we've been trying to prove to the world for almost 8 years now, that we really had something to offer the young people of Northern British Columbia. But these community legacy campaigns are a whole bunch different. They touch down right into the heart of each, I hope, each and every community in Northern British Columbia, and will be corralling the energy, the expertise, and the financial muscle of people in every community throughout Northern British Columbia.
UNBC Chancellor Iona Campagnolo earned another distinction recently. Already a member of the Queen's Privy Council and an officer of the Order of Canada, she received an honorary doctorate from Simon Fraser University at SFU's most recent convocation ceremony.
I should tell you I don't subscribe to the great man theory nor the great woman theory either. So instead of calling you special, just let me say to you at this moment, you are the state-of-the-art people on whom society relies for leadership. I paraphrase anthropologist Margaret Mead, who told us, never think that 1 or 2 people cannot change things. Indeed, throughout all of history, it is the only thing that ever has done. In my opinion, there are none better prepared to take on the global issues at hand than those of you who are disciplined in the widest range of liberal arts to answer the great unanswered questions of this time. I have spent so much of my life at work in the many areas of your study and scholarship. So what is my message to you from this wonderful platform that you have given me on this glorious day? This is your day. And the message is, character is all, that it is the multitudes of little corruptions that so bedevil today and tomorrow, that the price of great liberty is equally great responsibility, and that from those to whom much has been given, there is very much expected. Cliches? Of course. True. I leave that to all of you to discover.
There will, of course, be a change at the helm of UNBC next month when Charles Jago becomes UNBC's new president. Founding President Geoffrey Weller resigned at the end of June, and a brunch was held to honor his many contributions to the university and to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the passing of the UNBC Act.
We weren't going to be tied down to any traditional models or any traditional thinking when we built this new university. It was going to be free of all of those encumbrances. In short, we didn't have a clue. We didn't know what we were going to do or how we were going to do it. But I can tell you, looking back at that time and in that place, that ignorance truly is bliss. Now, in this heightened condition of fantasy and invincibility, we set off to find a president. Someone to take our wonderful dream and turn it into reality. It was into such an atmosphere that Geoff Weller accepted the appointment and became the first president of UNBC. It is important to understand that this was no small achievement. Here we were, no faculty, no staff, no campus, no site for a campus, no students, no committed budget, capital or operating, no performance record. In short, we had nothing. All we had was enthusiasm, mythical projections, and wild ideas. In many ways, he has given us a university in spite of ourselves. He has translated the seeds of our ideas into a reality that you can see. Geoff, I congratulate you on that achievement, and on behalf of the Interim Governing Council, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
As I leave, I should like to ask you to remain mindful that expectations are high for UNBC's potential contribution to the economic and cultural life of the region. Everyone who works for the university helps deliver the promise of a better future for our city, our region, and indeed our province. And I'd like us all to remember that everyone's contribution is very important. I extend my heartfelt and warmest good wishes to each of you individually for your dedication to the cause of establishing this university. Together, you helped accomplish something remarkable, and I feel privileged to be founding president, and I enjoyed working with all of you. Thank you very much indeed.
UNBC has had an interim president since the beginning of July, and George Peterson will stay in UNBC's top office until incoming President Jago arrives at the beginning of next month. Dr. Peterson has brought a wealth of experience to his short term as UNBC president. He's a former president of SFU, UBC, and the University of Western Ontario. George Peterson will be UNBC interim president until October 1st, when Charles Jago will officially take over the post. Dr. Jago will come to UNBC from Huron College at the University of Western Ontario. But there's a big difference between Western Ontario and Northern BC, and the new Prez had a chance to see some of the physical and cultural differences during a tour to the Northwest region in August, hosted by UNBC Chancellor Iona Campagnolo.
The trip has given me a whole number of impressions. First of all, I guess I'm aware of the immense distances. And I'm also aware that we've only seen a small portion of the territory. Secondly, I'm aware of the incredible diversity of communities, nations, peoples, problems, issues. So it's, you know, this may not be a heavily populated region, but it's got just a range of differences, geographical, topographical, and community. All of that makes me aware of the fact that the regional mandate, which I knew would be difficult, is indeed a real challenge. But I don't think impossible. I think that, I mean, what I've seen is a level of cooperation and goodwill that is really quite outstanding everywhere we went. And if that's the foundation you're building on, I come away feeling pretty optimistic, frankly.
The new president and the chancellor were joined by a number of deans and faculty on the tour, which included stops in Smithers, Kitimat, Terrace, Kispiox, Prince Rupert, and the Nass Valley.
The indicator that I think we can all look for that UNBC is really northern is that people from northern communities will be involved not just as students but as contributors to high-value educational concepts. You know, UBC is the coast, and most of the people who contribute to UBC are from the coast. They're from around Vancouver. And UNBC will truly be UNBC when we have people from Smithers, from Houston, from Hazelton, from Stewart, from Prince Rupert, from Masset,
being involved with the teaching as well as the learning.
In a relatively, don't want to use the term underpopulated, but lowly populated region, the only way you can succeed is by mobilizing scarce resources. And those resources are not monopolized by the university at all. I mean, there's fabulous resources here in communities, in industries, and other teaching institutions. You've got to find a way of bringing them together.
We don't have a good success rate of northern students graduating from high school going on to university. So we've got to do something with that problem. And that means there's got to be good communication between the colleges, the high school, and the university. And UNBC could be a facilitator to make that happen, you know, because that's where they could go on to, and we should have at UNBC enough of the staff or the faculty that have the expertise in educational delivery that we can maybe change and mold the system so that these students will succeed.
Margaret Dediluke has been actively involved in the development of UNBC. She's a former member of the Interim Governing Council and sits on the Terrace University Access Council and the Northwest Regional Advisory Committee. Plus, she's a UNBC master's student.
Education is undergoing changes just as healthcare, which I work in, is being challenged with change. And I hope he's willing to take on that challenge and do something new and innovative instead of just giving answers saying, well, no, we haven't done, we have to do it this way because the rules are this way. That's not true. I think we have to change and get things happening. And I hope he does that within a short time frame.
What I've said on this trip is that this is going to be an outstanding university. It's going to be a regional university. It's going to be an asset to British Columbia, but it's going to be a university of national distinction in certain key areas where it can excel. Well, that's a nice way of saying we're going to limit our focus, at least in terms of developing programs that might go all the way up to the PhD and have a major research focus. I haven't said what those programs are going to be. That's the task of the planning committee, and that's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all because there'll be a lot of people who want to ensure that it's their program, and we have to make choices.
But this is the time to do it.
It has to be done. No, it has to be done because if we don't do it, we will fragment the operation. We'll end up displeasing everybody. We'll end up being unable to fulfill our mandate, both our regional mandate and our internal mandate. So we have to. I mean, we're working within a climate of restrained financial resources, and it could get worse. I hope not, but it could get worse. I don't foresee it getting much better. So we have to, so to speak, bite the bullet and make some pretty crucial decisions. And my own sense is that people are ready to do that. It's not just me. There's a mood in the institution that's now it's time to make some decisions and to accept the consequences of those decisions. So
for the good of the institution.
For the good of the institution, yeah. I think there's a sense that we just can't go on the way we are. We're trying to do too much. We have too many problems, so let's be clear and specific about what it is we can do. And I hope that's the mood. But everything I have seen has indicated to me very clearly that that is the mood on the campus, on the board, within the communities. People are ready to say, okay, let's do what we can do. But we have to decide what that is.
Thanks for tuning in to the September episode of Spotlight on UNBC. You know, history was made almost every day at UNBC last year, but there will be many more unique and interesting events during UNBC's second year of full operations. Watch for them every month here on Spotlight on UNBC.